if I were moving to Kansas City today, I would not live where I do now. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd make some very different choices. I grew up in the suburbs of Kansas City, spent years in Denver, and when we moved back to Kansas City in 2020, I landed in one of the city's most popular neighborhoods. But now, with a growing family and kids in both private and public schools, we're seriously considering making a move. I'm Kyle, your Kansas City realtor and insider, and in this video, I'm breaking down exactly where I'd move in Kansas City at this stage in life and why. I'll walk you through the suburbs we're considering that keep us close to everything we love, plus the best spots if you're moving here fresh and want great schools and a quieter lifestyle. Then we'll rewind to my 20s where I should have lived back then and fast forward to where I see myself a decade or two from now. If you're trying to figure out the best place to live in Kansas City, whether you're relocating or just looking for a change, this is the video for you. Now, as much as we've loved living in Kansas City, Missouri these past 5 years, it's not without its drawbacks. Let me explain. You see, I grew up in none other than Johnson County, Kansas. It's a popular area that many of you have relocated to with our help. The schools are top-notch. It's clean, quiet, and safe. Sounds ideal, right? Well, as a kid, I saw it differently. To me, it felt like a sprawling suburban nightmare. But looking back, I think that feeling had more to do with how often my mom and I just moved around. Just when I'd start to get settled in, we'd be packing up again. That restlessness was a big reason why I moved to Denver in my 20s, and it was a key factor in deciding to settle on the Missouri side in the Brookside neighborhood when my family and I returned to Kansas City. So let's start there, shall we, in Brookside, the first neighborhood that we called home when we returned to KC. If you've never been, Brookside isn't just a place, it's almost a feeling. We fell in love with its charming streets lined with mature trees, the local cafes and boutiques that are just a short walk away from any given front door. It was a stark contrast to the suburban sprawl I remembered as a kid in Johnson County. When we first moved here, my kids weren't yet in school, and the community felt perfect. But as they've grown, we're starting to face the same decisions many families here do, navigating the challenges of school choices due to the limited public school funding. In Brookside and much of Kansas City, Missouri, many parents turn to charter or private schools, which, while excellent, can add significant line items to your family budget. Despite this, Brookside's allure is undeniable. The neighborhood was designed in the 1920s with a focus on community and convenience, and it holds up remarkably well today. The homes, from Tudor cottages to craftsman bungalows, are not just structures, they tell stories of decades past with their original woodwork and detailed architecture. The vibe in Brookside is less about late night entertainment and more about early morning coffee runs or evening strolls along the trolley track trail. It's where you can enjoy the simplicity of suburban peace without losing touch of the city life. Yet, as much as we adore Brookside, my wife and I often find ourselves discussing whether it's time to move to a suburb with more straightforward public school options. Living here has meant considering the real costs, both financial and lifestyle-wise, of maintaining the charm and convenience we love. So, who does Brookside really fit? It's ideal for young professionals who cherish quiet evenings but still want quick access to the bustling city center, families who value a strong sense of community over more spacious homes, and empty nesters looking to downsize and enjoy the walkability of a vibrant neighborhood. Brookside represents a unique slice of Kansas City life, blending historic charm with modern convenience in a way few places can. If you're drawn to this kind of living, it might just be the perfect spot for your next chapter or a stepping stone to the next adventure, as it has been for us. Okay, but if not Brookside, then where? Well, since you asked, here's what my wife and I have been considering, especially now that we've had our third son, and boy, it's going to be a lot to send 3 boys through private school. Our charming 3-bedroom in Waldo is starting to feel a bit tight, so it's got us thinking it might be time for another move. And while we do love Waldo's eclectic charm, the question of schools keeps coming up. That's why we're eyeing a couple suburbs that are less than 10 minutes from where we currently live, where the schools are great and we wouldn't be too removed from the community that we've built here over the last 5 years. First up, Prairie Village. This is where I've had my studio and office for the past year. It's familiar, it's comfortable, and it's where you've seen me in most of my videos. We like it here. It's close enough to feel the city's pulse, but quiet enough to have that small town charm with a mix of old and new houses and plenty of green spaces. It's perfect for growing families like ours looking for a balance of accessibility and quality education. The median sales price in Prairie Village is about $450,000, but that'll get you around the same square footage that we're in now for a fraction of the price on the Missouri side. So we're gonna have to spend a little bit more if Prairie Village ends up being our home. Then there's Old Leawood, particularly the area north of I-435. It shares many of Prairie Village's perks, but offers bigger lots and a bit more privacy, which is tempting. The houses have space to grow, the community feels tight-knit, and the schools, again, are top-notch. The catch? It's a bit pricier with the median sales price around $750,000, but considering the benefits, it might just be worth it. Both options are appealing for their unique reasons, and moving to either could mean less stress about educational choices since the public schools here are excellent. It's a big decision, especially when balancing the cost of potentially putting 3 kids through private school if we stay in Missouri. Financially and logistically, moving to one of these Kansas suburbs might make more sense in the long run. Now, there are a couple other areas that we are considering currently, and I'll dive into those shortly, but first, what if I was brand new to Kansas City or considering a complete reset? Where would I choose to live if I were starting over today, coming from Denver with no prior connections to KC? That's what's coming up next, but before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on one of our videos. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. The link's right down in the pinned comment below. We send it out weekly, packed with all the essential updates and insider information on what's happening around Kansas City. Okay, so if I were starting fresh in Kansas City, where would I plant roots for our growing family? Let's dive into a couple of spots that I would seriously consider. First up, there's Parkville. If you're looking for charm, this place has it in spades. It's just north of the river with a cozy downtown nestled into the hill overlooking the Missouri River. My ideal day here is grabbing a coffee at Parkville Coffee, relaxing with a book, or maybe taking a nap in English Landing Park, taking a hike in Parkville Nature Sanctuary, and finishing up with dinner at Stone Canyon Pizza. Everything is within walking distance, which means you can forget about your car for the day. And while Parkville isn't the cheapest option in the metro, it has choices ranging from historic homes downtown to lakefront spots and big estates on acreage. But for me, the blend of lifestyle, top schools in the Park Hill School District, and proximity to both downtown and the airport make it worth the price tag. It's perfect if you're looking for a fresh start. Then there's Lee Summit, a hit with many of you who we've helped move to the area. It's got a vibrant historic downtown packed with great spots to eat and shop, and it's big enough that you can find a neighborhood with a little breathing room. They're pouring money into new developments here, which promises to make it a great place to live for generations. You get a lot of house for your money in Lee Summit, like a 3,500 square foot home with a pool for about $600,000, something unheard of in Parkville or Leawood. Yes, it's a bit of a drive from the city, 30 minutes to downtown and 45 from the airport, but if you don't mind the commute, the trade-off in space and amenities might just be worth it. The schools here are excellent, and they're building some fantastic new communities with all the trimmings, pools, lazy rivers, you name it. After years in historic homes, I'm even considering a new build myself. The charm is great, but so is the idea of less maintenance. And finally, for someone who grew up loving that lake life, Lee Summit's outdoor spaces and lake access are big draws for me. It'd be great to give my boys the chance to grow up near the water, kind of like I did. But let's shift gears for a moment. What if I never had moved to Denver? Where would I be in KC if I were in my 20s again? One can dream, right? Naturally, I would be downtown. Oftentimes I find myself wondering what my life would have been like if I'd never moved to Denver and went downtown instead. The vibe there is a stark contrast to the suburbs where I grew up in Johnson County. Now, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't change my past for anything. I cherish my time in Denver, and without that move, I wouldn't have met my wife or had our 3 amazing boys. But still, the idea of living downtown captivates me. We spend a lot of our time there, attending events, concerts, and enjoying great meals at some of the best restaurants in town. And the convenience of having everything within walking distance, jumping on the streetcar and forgetting about the car altogether, that sounds like a dream to me. So let's dive into the 3 areas downtown that I would consider calling home. First up, we have the Crossroads. It's a vibrant hub where art and life collide, and every first Fridays turns into Kansas City's most unique cultural celebration. I could see myself in one of the converted old industrial buildings into lofts, complete with exposed HVAC and brick walls and floor-to-ceiling windows. One of my favorite spots to catch an outdoor concert is Grinders in the Crossroads. Not only do they serve up some of the best pizza in town, but they also have amazing live music. I remember watching Ben Folds play here in my 20s before moving to Colorado. The thought of enjoying a show and then walking home appeals to me on a deep, deep level. Next, there's the Westside. It's quieter, featuring a mix of historic and modern homes that offer stunning views of the downtown skyline at sunset. I recently showed a client an incredible 120-year-old brick 2-story here, and if I had been house hunting before having kids, I would have made an offer on this on the spot. If you're curious, check out this video where I toured a brand new $2 million custom home in the Westside. And let's not forget about Tacos El Gallo. It's some of the best authentic street tacos in the city. Truly, truly fire. Finally, we have the up-and-coming Berkley Riverfront, the latest area undergoing a massive transformation. It offers a slice of nature right on the river combined with urban convenience. With CPKC Stadium and over $1 billion in planned development, I believe this is going to be Kansas City's hottest neighborhood within the next decade. Embracing downtown living means everything you need is right at your fingertips. Looking ahead, I can see downtown becoming even more attractive 20 years from now when all the kids are out of the house. Who knows, maybe that downtown daydream might just become a reality one day. Speaking of the future, let's explore some of the other dreams I have about life after kids and where we might settle down as empty nesters. Sticking with the theme of an urban lifestyle and walkability, I'd be remiss not to mention the Country Club Plaza. It offers condo-style living in the heart of the historic open-air shopping district. The pace here is similar to downtown, but slightly slower, and with the recent sale to new owners and a streetcar extension on the horizon, the Plaza is poised to become an even more sought-after place to live, work, and play. I'd also look at West Plaza if I were in the market for a modern new build or a cozy bungalow within walking distance of the Plaza's shops and restaurants. Plus, it's close to Woodside, where I work out, allowing me to nearly abandon my car altogether. Switching gears from urban to something a bit more private, remember when I mentioned growing up and going to the lake with my mom? That's another lifestyle I often dream about, waking up and enjoying my cup of coffee overlooking a body of water. If I had to pick any lake within the metro to live on, it would be Weatherby Lake. Last year, a good friend of mine who lives there invited us to Dock Fest. It's a unique event where you boat from dock to dock, enjoying live music, everything from DJ sets to folk, country, and jazz. It's truly a vibe. Lake Quivira is another lake community that I've grown to love whenever I show homes here. It has more of a country club atmosphere with stunning homes and unmatched amenities, though it comes with steep HOA fees, so something to consider if you're aiming for that lake life. Then there's the idea of buying land in Stillwell, DeSoto, or another rural area around Kansas City. Living on 5 acres with a couple of four-wheelers and plenty of peace and quiet could be exactly what we're after in our later years. But I could also see us returning to Brookside. It really strikes one of the perfect balances of any neighborhood I've ever experienced. Perhaps we'll return as empty nesters, enjoying our morning coffee at the roastery and evening walks on the trolley track trail. Okay, now I did mention earlier that there are a few other neighborhoods that we're considering for our next move. Now, these are spots that may not be as high up on our list as Leawood and Prairie Village, but they still check many of the boxes of what we're looking for in a community. First up, let's talk about Westwood and Westwood Hills. If you're looking for something reminiscent of Brookside, but on the Kansas side, this is it. Nestled just west of the Country Club Plaza, Westwood features a blend of charming historic homes and sleek contemporary new builds. Another huge bonus for me, again, it's walking distance to my gym, Woodside. However, there is a downside. The lots and many of the houses here are smaller, which is a bit of a deal breaker with 3 boys to house. We need at least 4 bedrooms. The reality is that there aren't many options that meet our size requirements here unless we go for a new construction home, which typically start at the $1 million+ mark. Now, you might be wondering, Kyle, how could you not mention Overland Park? Well, let's dive into OP because it's a massive part of the metro, but there's only one area where we're actually considering in Overland Park. Now, growing up in the sprawling suburbs has really influenced what I want for my own family. And honestly, much of OP embodies that typical suburban sprawl that I'm trying to avoid. However, there is one part of OP that catches our interest, breaking away from what you might expect suburbia to look like. And that part is northeast, especially north of 83rd Street and east of Metcalf. It's an area that we're seriously considering. The homes here are older, the neighborhoods are established with big mature trees, and they're on some bigger lots. It blends well with Prairie Village and Leawood, which is why it made our list. It's also close to the Plaza, less than 10 minutes down Shawnee Mission Parkway, and then there's downtown Overland Park, which is home to dozens of local shops and restaurants, plus its farmers market is getting a $30 million makeover. It's going to be incredible. Now, the last area is probably the most suburban of all the places that we're considering. In fact, I've done a full video on it that I'll link down below. It's west of Overland Park, and it is Lenexa. And I really love what they're doing with their downtown city center. It's also home to one of my favorite parks and one of my favorite neighborhoods. So let's talk about the neighborhood first. Whispering Hills is west of 435, and it's one of those hidden gems where you get easy access to modern amenities while being immersed in nature. It's just 7 minutes from the downtown city center, a $1 billion development where the city hosts numerous events like the Great Lenexa Barbecue Battle, farmers markets, and art festivals. You have the public market, which is an incubator for local restaurants and many other restaurants moving in. Then there's Mill Creek Streamway Park, walking distance from the Whispering Hills neighborhood and a favorite summer spot for our family. The trade-off is that it's far, at least for me, from the city where we built our community, but the pros do outweigh the cons, so it's definitely on our short list. The truth is, Kansas City offers some pretty fantastic living options for every stage of life and lifestyle. Hopefully this video is giving you some clarity on what might be in store for your move. If you're considering moving to Kansas City, or maybe you're just thinking of switching it up like we are, my team and I would love to assist you in any way we can. Just shoot us an email at info@movingtokc.net. Now, if you want to learn more about different neighborhoods not based on where I personally would move our family, then check out this next video here where I list the best neighborhoods that we're seeing most of you move to. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.